Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited to have you guys here on the live stream. Let's go ahead and admit everyone else. All right. All right, all right, all right. We are getting somewhere. Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited to have you guys here on the live stream. Let's go ahead and admit everyone else. All right. Sorry, guys, about the technical challenges there. All right, welcome. It looks like we have most of everyone on the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that you guys are here. For those of you guys um, who are on YouTube, welcome as well. I'm going to be giving you a really short preview, just a little bit of what we're doing together. Then we're going to be dropping off. So if you want to join the rest of the session, the link to join to join the full Miniccelerator, the full masterclass is going to be in the comments. So make sure you check out the comments. That's where you can go to get access to, to get access to the Miniccelerator, and join us in the full Zoom room. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat, and then everything else is going to be focused on the Zoom chat. All right, so welcome, guys. For everybody who's on Zoom, do me a favor, let me know where you're based. I can see your names, but just let me know where you're based. Like if you are in like your city and your state, your country, if it's somewhere other than the United States, I would like to know that as well. All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay, great. So we're seeing a few chats. Hey, Detroit, Houston. And okay, great. Yep, this is where you're supposed to be on the Zoom. Thanks, guys, for joining. All right, so let's just go ahead and hop in. Today, I wanted to talk about what you need to be doing in the middle of the year. Like it's the middle of the year, July is here. If you're anything like me, you kind of started getting your energy back partway through the year. I know, a lot of people felt like they were in an energetic slump towards the end of last year, also during the winter. But now we're in a place where you might feel like, okay, you know what? I've got more energy now. I'm ready to I'm ready to do more to move my business forward. What should I be doing? What should I be focusing on? And that's pretty much what we're going to be focused on today, right? In this Miniccelerator, we're going to be focusing on what you need to do to take your business to the next level. That's pretty much honestly what we always focus on, here in this in everything that we do here. However, I do think that there are some things that are a little different about the middle of the year, right? Like this is July. I know that this is a period of time that a lot of people overlook. A lot of people overlook the middle of the year. A lot of people ignore when we're in event season or wedding season, and then want to go super hard when October, November comes around. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to work on my business now. I heard booking season starts in 2 weeks. Like, let me focus on my business. And the truth is that the people who do really, really well in business are people who plan ahead, people who are ready, like do the getting ready before it's time to get ready, right? Like I can't tell you how many times we've worked with people, especially right after our live event in April, right? Which is going which happens right before summer hits, or sometimes when we work with people in the summer where they have amazing results at the end of the year. For instance, last year we started working with someone in the summertime. By the end of the year, she was ready to go full time in business. She left because her job was getting more and more toxic. But again, that's only a luxury that you get if you were already preparing before that period came, where maybe your boss is getting more toxic, more demanding, where you're being blamed for things that are not your fault and all those things. That's not the time to get ready. You kind of have to get ready before you need to be ready. A great prophet once said, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And a lot of times, a lot can change when you make certain decisions, when you make certain shifts in your mindset, and when you change the way you're working and the energy that you're putting forward. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is the mid-year Miniccelerator for those who are ready to make the second half more profitable than the first, which I think is pretty much everyone here. So with that, all of this, everything that I teach, everything that I love to focus on comes from a place of me feeling like I knew that event planning was my passion, right? My background is in engineering. I was good at it, right? Had a good engineering job, got promoted, all the things, but I knew my passion was in event planning. But I did not want to quit my reliable six-figure job that was paying my mortgage and paying my rent and paying for my food and, things that I needed while my event planning business wasn't paying me yet. And I think that some of you may be in the same place. And I think that this is what brought me into a new epiphany, which is that you don't have to quit your day job to grow your business, right? You just got to know what to do so that you, instead of spinning your wheels, you're just doing the right things. And so that's a big part of where I teach from, And another thing is that a lot of people say, you should just network, go to a networking event, network with other vendors, and that's going to bring you leads. That's what's going to grow your business. But most of my vendor friends, I started to realize, already had clients, like we're working with clients who already had another full service planner. And in most of those cases, those vendor friends were not the ones who referred business to that full service planner. That full service planner was the one who recommended business to the vendor. What that meant is that I cannot rely on people to refer me for me to grow my business, because it's not that people don't like me. It's not that, I mean, maybe some, who knows, right? It's not that people don't like me or don't want to support me or don't want to send me referrals back for all the referrals that I've given to them. That's not necessarily the case. The problem is that most of your vendor friends, your photographer friends, the ones who do floor wraps, DJing, all of that, they get most of their business either from people who already have planners, and most of the time the planner is the one who's reaching out to them, or they're working with someone who feels like they can plan their own event. They don't need a plan. They don't think they need a planner, right? And if they do change their mind later, they're looking for just a coordinator. They're looking, and I don't want to say just, but just a lot of times that's the wording that they use. That's just like, well, I already did everything. I already did all the hard work. I just need a coordinator, which means that a lot of times they're not even willing to invest a lot in it, right? For me, we sell pretty when we used to sell coordination, we recently stopped. But when we would sell coordination, it was pretty expensive. Coordination for 4,000 is a lot of money, right? Like it's a high-end coordination package. The people who booked it from the beginning. There were people who were like, you know what? I know I want to plan this on my own, or I'm an event planner myself. I just don't want to manage it. Like there were people who would book way at the beginning, and for reasons other than I thought I could do it myself. And then at the last minute, I'm going to hire you. It was always the people who were planning ahead, but were just like, you know what, I just think this is fun. Or I want to start my own business one day and I want to try it. And I want to have you there. But it was more of an investment versus a last minute expense that they're trying to get at the cheapest amount possible. Right. So I think that these are some things to keep in mind mindset wise. Right. And so you may be here and some of these things may be striking in your mind where you're like, wait a minute. I do feel that way. Like a lot of people who come to me like a month, 2 months before their wedding, they are just looking for the cheapest option because their budget is already spent and they don't even really value planning. They're just coming because the venue requires it, or because or again, like they just realize that they're not going to be able to fold their place cards and get their makeup done at the same time. Like there is just more of that epiphany. And so at that point, it's just like, oh, let me just get a body there so I don't have to worry. And it's not as much of like, listen, I believe in this service. This is a high-end service that I really want, right? And so these are some things that drove me to really focus on like, okay, how am I going to get to the next level? I cannot build my business waiting for referrals, waiting for these last minute leads who just want to spend the least amount of money. And I'm not willing to leave on a limb and then just hope that business comes after the fact, right? I personally believe that before you go full-time in business, you should have you should have a good amount of savings. Most people say 6 months. I say at a minimum 3. 6 is great though, but I would say at a minimum 3. I would say you should already be paying yourself from your business. You should not be quitting your day job if you can't even afford to pay yourself even anything. You should already be paying yourself a consistent amount from your business, and you should have a clear plan for how you're going to make more money with the time that you have from your day job. You need all three. I think you need those 3 things, right? So, for you to leave not that if you leave your day job, you're going to like die or something, but I just think that that's the best plan to leave your day job in a way that you don't have to go back. that you're not like a year later, like, man, this isn't working. So let me go back and get a day job, right? Where you don't feel like you're scrambling. These are some things you want to do. That wasn't in my notes, but I wanted to touch on it. So how can I create a six-figure business before I leave my day job, right? So how can I create a six-figure business a year? A six-figure business is a business where you make six figures in 1 year. It is not a business where you made six figures in 3 years. A six-figure business means you made it in 1 year. We're talking annual. A seven-figure business is a business that makes $1 million in 1 year. So that's what we're talking about. And how can I do it before I leave my day job? Now, if you're like, I already left my day job, that's cool. Or maybe I never had one, right? We've worked with a few people who are primary caretakers of young children or primary caretakers of people who need a lot of support, right? People who are injured, who are elderly, who need a lot of support. That's great. All this means is a few hours a day. How am I going to run this business in a few hours a day? Right? And if you have more hours, great. That means you have more capacity and you can book more people, right? That change all that that's all that should really change for you. So at the end of the day, the goal is still the same. You should not be full-time with three clients and feeling like you're being run ragged unless those clients are paying you enough for you to make six figures, right? Unless each of those clients is paying you like 30, 40,000. So that's really where you need to be. So this is what, like I said earlier, is what drove me to create like the whole framework that I teach. Everything that we teach comes from the same framework. There's a lot to dig into it, right? So we're gonna scratch the surface a little bit over these 4 weeks through the Miniccelerator. But this is the solution that I created when I was working in a demanding IT management job. And for those of you who don't know, in IT, we work weekends and evenings sometimes, which kind of cuts into event planning, but I was able to juggle it all while also booking 20 or more weddings a year. Now, I don't necessarily recommend 20 weddings a year for most people. This season kind of, led me to a little bit of exhaustion. But I will say that everything got done and everything got done well, right? So I think that, and this is me working part-time, this is me still traveling, me still spending time with friends on the weekends, still serving in church in like 85 ministries. Like it is possible, right? You just have to be putting your time in the right things versus just trying to figure it out all the time. So I'm gonna break all this down again over the next 4 weeks. It's a lot to get into, but we're gonna talk about what it takes to run a six-figure planning business in less than 20 hours a week. We're gonna talk about what you need to do to attract and close multiple high-end magazine-worthy weddings year after year. For us, since I want to say 2015 or 2016, we've had multiple magazine features every year, whether it be print or online or something like that, every single year, right? So we're going to talk about what it looks like to do that. And we've had this not with styled shoots. The last time I did a styled shoot was in maybe I don't even think it was 2016. I think it may have been 2015. And I didn't even do it seeking a magazine feature. I did it mostly just to network with people and just for fun. So someone else was planning it and I hopped in on it. But this isn't like I'm doing a bunch of styled shoots and then submitting it. This is real weddings, right? So how can you attract the kind of clients where you can produce this? Another note on styled shoots is that style shoots are great, especially when you're first starting out. But at a certain point, you're spending a lot of money on style shoots. It almost makes more sense to have a real wedding or a real client and zhuzh up their event a little bit more than to spend all this money and all this time to create this styled shoot, right? To show like what you can do. The other thing is that, with a real wedding, people can see that you can actually handle real people as well, right? Versus just styling one table. So that's something that's great. For those of you guys who are on Zoom, if you have questions about anything at any point, please drop it in the chat. I'll come back to it. And then the last thing is, how do you turn internet browsers from strangers to excited and book clients in under 14 days? Most of the people who come our way are people who are coming cold from the internet, not referrals. We do get referrals sometimes, especially from venues. But a lot of times when people are going, by the time people get to the venue, they've either decided they're planning their own event or whatever the case is. But for those few people who venues have to refer, we do get referrals from them every year. But even then, we don't put so much pressure like, oh, this person has to be my client, because we can get strangers on the internet who are just searching for an amazing wedding planner to find us, be excited about working with us, and book, right? In a short period, not within 6 months, right? But within a relative period, 14 days, sometimes 21 days, but getting people ready to move forward. So We're going to walk through the process together. But first, it's kind of like those old infomercials. But first, let's do a little mindset work. This is really important because I want to say some of you guys who are watching this today have watched a lot of trainings that I've done. You've heard a lot of tips. You've heard a lot of things that I've said, or either free ones or coming to Planners Who Profit Live or investing in something else. Some of you have not, right? Have not been in a full on training, right? Where we talked about strategies and things like that. And I want to say, as much as people may not want to hear this, 80% of what's holding you back is your mindset. It's the way you look at things and the way you think about things, right? So I always like to start with mindset a little bit. And that was why I decided to stream this to YouTube, right? For those of you guys who are on YouTube, you guys get the mindset part free, and then we're gonna turn it off when we start getting to strategy. But mindset is what's holding you back a lot of times. And we're gonna touch on that a little bit. There are two types of entrepreneurs, not just event planners, whatever, just any kind of entrepreneur, especially creative entrepreneurs. You are either an action taker or you are an observer. Those are the two kinds. And I don't mean this to be offensive, but most people are observers, right? Most people are number two. Action takers will take imperfect action using the information that they have today. They will take action as they invest. You may be in this Miniccelerator, and we talk about some things today, and by next week, you've already taken action with what you've learned. You've already decided to move forward. You've already said, you know what, this sounds great. Let me figure out a way to put this into action, right? Let me ask, you know what, I came up with how I'm going to put it into action, and I have a follow-up question. I'm going to drop it in the Slack channel for the Miniccelerator and see if I can get an action. You're taking action. Observers will come to every session, listen to it like a podcast, turn it off and do nothing and say, man, that was good. That was so good. Right? You're always learning, but for whatever reason, you feel like it's never perfect enough to start. There's always a reason not to act on what you've learned. And one mindset shift I want to mention today is that perfectionism is actually the enemy of progress. Waiting for things to be perfect before you start is literally the enemy of progress. And that is what's keeping you stuck. For some of you, you've been stuck for years because you're waiting for things to be perfect before you take action. I'm going to give you an example. It's a big one for me. Like SEO is a big part of our marketing strategy. It allows us to attract people, whether we feel like posting or not, right? That doesn't mean we don't post, but it's like that's something that's a big strategy for us, right? We've had people say, you know what? Yeah, I want to work on my SEO, but first I want to like completely revamp my website, and I'm going to do that first, right? And a year and a half later, they're still working on this website revamp. You've lost a year and a half of leads. You lost a year and a half of experience working on like more modern weddings. All of us know weddings today don't even look like weddings from 5 years ago. Weddings from 5 years ago definitely don't look like weddings from 10 years ago. Like things evolve and people want to see that evolution in your portfolio. I say in a situation like that, work on your SEO on the website you have now and talk to the website developer that you have about making sure that those URLs transfer, your SEO titles, your SEO descriptions, like all those things that we worked on transfer to the next website so that you start to build authority on your URL, so that you start to attract people with what you have today. A lot of our clients do amazing work with websites that they build themselves, right? Amazing. Attracting clients, all that with websites that they built with their own two hands. So that's not to say that you should never invest in a website and all of that, but a lot of times when you're waiting for this perfect moment, years are going by and you're not taking action on things that could really attract people your way and move you forward. So at this point, you have to break up with perfectionism. A lot of us wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist. I just like everything to be perfect. And you wear like a badge of honor, it is slowing you down. Most people, I mean, when I look at people that I admire who are running amazing empires, I find typos in their Instagram posts. Like I find little mistakes here and there. Do I care? Honestly, no. And I consider myself to be a very intelligent person. I went to an Ivy League university, all of that. I don't care about your typos. I care about if you know what you're doing. I don't care about little mistakes here and there. We've all seen it. Macy's sends an email and then they say, oops, here's the right link. That imperfection isn't what's going to take down Macy's, right? And it even happens at that level. How much more so you with a small business? So at a certain point, you've got to break up with perfectionism that's keeping you stuck as an observer. You got to focus on being an action taker, take imperfect action on with the information that you have today. All right. Number two, focus on doing work today that is going to serve you tomorrow. I talked earlier about how people always wake up with this epiphany. It's usually around November or sometimes in January. November, because people are like, oh, I heard booking season starts in 2 weeks. I need to get myself together for booking season, right? And so you're basically waiting till you got to be ready to try to get ready. Or January, because people are just in that new year, new me energy, right? The truth of the matter is that getting started any day is better than never getting started at all. But at the end of the day, if you want to have an amazing 2025, you got to get started now, not January, right? Especially in our industry. For most of us as creatives who are creating things over a long term, most people who are going to be listening to this or watching this are in the events industry. Most of us have clients for 8 months, 12 months, right? Like we have to plan in advance. The clients that we're attracting now, for the most part, I'll say at least 80% of them are going to be for next year. Maybe 20% of them maybe for this year, coordination or someone who's planning a wedding on a short-term time frame or a corporate event being planned on a short time frame. That's real too. So don't write off this year. Those are very real situations. Every year we plan an event of some sort in like 2 or 3 months, right? Or sometimes multiple. So don't write that off. However, you got to do the work today to get the business tomorrow, to get the business later. A lot of the things that we've been reaping the benefits of, like we're doing pretty good. We're approaching, 6 figures in sales already in what, 7 months, right? In all purely event planning. I'm not talking about coaching, purely event planning. But a lot of that is work that we put in last year, some of it years before that too. But there were different things that we did, tweaks to our website, all of that we did, a lot of which I taught in the SEO sprint that just went by, right? Like things that were working for us to increase to get different kinds of leads for on different areas. There was some networking in nonprofit circles that brought us a nonprofit client referral, just things like that. But a lot of these things can take time. I know we live in a microwave society. And for most of us, even if you are older, I'm not even gonna say like, oh, for some of us who are millennials and Gen Z, we live in a microwave society. Even those who are older have gotten used to the microwave society. We have. Like, we've all gotten used to things happening quickly. We've gotten used to ordering something on Uber Eats. Last night, I almost never order things on Uber Eats, but last night I did. I was very tired. And yeah, I made an order and 20 minutes later I had a pizza at my door, right? Like we're all used to just getting what we want instantly. Those are all services that we all use at all ages. And at a minimum, we all use an actual microwave. So we have that. We have to be willing to plant today for tomorrow. That is what entrepreneurs do. Your marketing for today is not it's not necessarily even to book a client tomorrow. It's maybe to book a client in 2 months, in a month, in a few weeks, right? Maybe it's to book a client in a month and to book another client in 6 months. It's not just, okay, I'm going to post this one thing on Instagram and I better get a client from this one post, right? And then that goes back to the perfectionism. I'm going to make one post on Instagram and this one post better bring me a client. So I'm going to spend 3 hours on this Instagram post, like making it perfect so that it brings me a client. It doesn't even work like that, right? As opposed to I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to plant seeds on a regular basis with a long-term goal. And I don't even think next year is even a long-term goal. That's more of like I still consider that kind of a short-term goal, to be honest, but maybe like a midterm goal, right? We're not talking about, oh, in 10 years, I want to have $1 million business doing blah, blah, blah. What do we want to have in 12 months, 12 to 18 months? By the end of next year, what do you want it to look like, right? And plant seeds today to reap tomorrow. Otherwise, tomorrow you're going to be back in this emergency mode, right? And one of the things that stands successful business owners apart from those who either struggle or kind of stay stuck in a certain area is that they're always building for they're always building for the future, handling what needs to be handled today, but focused on building for the future. So we need to focus on building for the future. The last thing I wanted to talk about mindset wise is that you do not have to run a business You do not have to run a business to be an event planner or to be a creative. You do not have to have your own business to be an event planner. You do not have to have your own business to be a makeup artist. You do not have to have your own business to be any kind of creative. But you do have to master the business side if you want to run your own successful creative business. What that means is that you have to stop saying, I don't want to do this business stuff. I don't feel like it. I'm not good at it. I just want somebody else to do all the business stuff for me and I just show up and do it and be the event planner. That means you need to apply to work for someone else's event planning company as an event planner because that's what happens, right? There are people we are, looking for a couple additional planners to add to our team, and that's what they do. They don't do any marketing or sales work. They run our weddings, right? And I want you to know that if that's how you feel, there's no shade at all. That is an opportunity for you to be an event planner in somebody else's company. But if your vision is to grow your own event planning business, if your vision is, I want to build this business either because I want to be my own boss, or because I want to hand it down to my children, or because I want to build generational wealth, or whatever the reason is, you got to master the actual business side. Because as a business owner, you don't even get to do your passion until you get the business. You have to book the client before you get to do the passion. If you're like, I just want more clients to book my full service, right? I'm tired of doing coordination. You have to figure out how to attract clients who want your full service. That way you can start transitioning into full service. That's one of like the biggest wins. Like when we work with people in our full accelerator, right? This is a mini accelerator. In our full accelerator, a lot of times by the time people graduate, they're like, man, uh, there's a lot. One of the common questions I get is, should I still even offer coordination? Because almost no one's booking it. Everybody's booking our full service. And my answer usually is, if you hate it, stop offering it. But if you like it, it's not hurting you because people are still booking your full service. So if you like having it every now and then, it doesn't hurt you, right? To do one or two a year. Why not? You have to master running your business if you want it to grow. You do not get to just abdicate to anybody and have them do it for you. What it costs to hire a CEO is in the six-figure range. That's what it costs to go out on the street and hire a CEO to come in and run your company for you. So if your business is not even making six figures, you can't afford that, right? Because you can't afford to pay anybody 100% of what comes in. You still got to pay taxes, you got to pay for tools, you have expenses. So that's what it costs. Also, there are ways for you to run your own business without it being this full-time, like this like a million hour a week job, right? You have to master it. Another thing is that you don't have to do everything, but you do have to understand it. You don't have to do your own bookkeeping. You don't have to do your own social media or all that, but you do have to understand it. I remember years ago, I have a lot of experience doing a lot of random stuff. So just follow. I used to be on the national board for the National Society of Black Engineers, right? I was on the national board for professionals, meaning people who are outside of college. And I was the publications chair one year. And I think this is actually where a lot of a good bit of my marketing experience came from, doing that, also doing marketing for church, and then of course, marketing my own business. And when I was on the publications chair, we had someone who donated these amazing cookies. Like she nailed it. All I can tell you is that these cookies tasted great, they looked great, they matched our branding. It was amazing. And I took a picture and I was like, I want to post this on our Instagram and on our Facebook to market your business. Um, what's your business name on Instagram and what's your business name on Facebook? And she said, oh, I don't know. I got a guy to handle that for me. I don't even know that stuff. And I said, okay. So I tried to search by like her business name or whatever to see if I could come up with her hand. I couldn't find it. Complete missed opportunity. What is the purpose of donating, 500 cookies, 1,000 cookies to a conference for the sake of exposure when no one knows who you are? And no one can find you later to then say, oh, okay, we had these cookies at this conference. Now I want to, and I mean, people at this conference are working for major Fortune 500, like major Fortune 100 companies. Oh yeah, like let's, where someone can't reach out to you and say, hey, let's have this cookie person do our annual retreat or our annual all staff conference or whatever. What was the point of that? And a lot of us are like that. We're like, oh, I just need to get someone to do my social media for me. I'm just going to get my niece to do it for me. I'm just going to get some girl from college to do my social media and just post random wedding stuff. Well, that doesn't even work. And that person doesn't understand strategy. They don't understand your voice. They don't even understand the type of clientele that you have. This is why you don't have to do everything, but you do have to understand it. You need to be able to give direction. That's what a CEO does. You give direction, you cast a vision, and you tell people what the outcome is supposed to look like, right? So you don't have to run a business to be an event planner or a creative event of any sort. If you're here and you're like, man, I'm just tired of all this business stuff, that should be freeing for you. You can work for someone else. You can even work for them part-time and do the creative stuff and have that be your outlet. But if you want to have a profitable business, you do have to master the business side. Okay. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. You're not going to master the business side by sitting on the sidelines. You're not going to master the business side. You're more than likely not going to master it just by reading books or even just by listening to YouTube videos or little trainings here and there. You got to dive in. You have to dive in, ask questions, hit walls, like fix things. This is like it's a lifelong journey, right? Of growing as a business owner. But there is a core period of like really mastering a lot of stuff. Um, it takes time, which again, even this Miniccelerator is 4 weeks. And that's why, right? Because it takes time to digest, to understand things, and to ask questions. All right. So with that, guys, the mid-year Miniccelerator is live. I'm really excited. That was the mindset part of it. This is for people who want to make the second half of the year more profitable than the first. I'm really excited to have you here. For those of you guys who are on YouTube, this is your cue. Click the link in the chat box, join the full on Miniccelerator because we're going to be leaving soon as we get into more of the content for today. And then, of course, the next 3 weeks will be strictly on Zoom, no YouTube access. Okay, so you got to slide in on this. It's not a lot of money. It's less than $100 to join us. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Some of the things we're going to be covering over the next few weeks is pricing like you mean business. You need to know, like you need to price like you mean business, right? Price um like you're a business, like this is not like this is a hobby, and to show the caliber of events that you want to do, the caliber of projects that you want to do. There are, I'm always like excited to see like there are officiants, there are makeup artists who charge like $3,000. 4,000, 5,000, a lot for that. And for whatever reason, people who are working on an event for 12 months are afraid to charge that or even double that, right? You have to know, you have to price like you mean business. Now, again, the higher you price, the smaller the percentage of the market that can afford it. And so what that means is that you got to bring it in your marketing and sales strategy. Raising your price is not going to do much for you, right? If you are not bringing it in your marketing, your sales strategy, and in your outcomes, right? But that is one piece of it. You got to price like you mean business. The second part is that you should have an evergreen marketing engine, right? What this means is that you should be attracting clients on autopilot. Like we get people hitting us every week on autopilot alert. We use HoneyBook, so we get a HoneyBook alert about a new lead every single week on autopilot, right? And we're attracting warm and hot buyers to our business every month, whether we post consistently or not. Now, I realize that a lot of people, when I talk about SEO, they take it as an excuse to just disappear from Instagram forever. I don't know that that's always the greatest thing to do. A lot of people who even find you organically on SEO are still going to check your socials, right? To see, oh, is this person still still active and all that. People still like to do that. So I wouldn't completely vanish, but it at least lessens the pressure. Even in the Bible, it talks about it in Proverbs. There's a lot of things about wisdom. There is a part where it says in Proverbs, like, invest in multiple things because you don't know which one where you're going to reap the harvest from, right? And so, yes, Instagram is great, but Instagram is not the only thing. Like invest in a few different things. Have what I would call a marketing cocktail. Every business should have one so that you don't feel like one change to social media is going to take your business under. We all know, well, I think we should know because I emailed you guys about it multiple times. But Instagram is making a pretty major change to their algorithm. It got rolled out to Australia first, and it is coming to the US, it's coming to Europe, where Instagram is pretty much turning into pay to play, right? Where they've changed their subscription model, and you would have to pay to be part of the subscription to have greater reach and all of that, right? That is coming. If you didn't know, now you know. But that's coming. You can look into it, look into the Instagram subscription update, and you'll see it there. So that's coming. We don't know when it's coming. It could be in a couple months. It could be in a year. We don't know. But this is part of the reason that you don't just invest in one place. And uh getting, getting ready, staying ready so you ain't got to get ready. That whole thing that we talked about earlier, you probably don't want to wait until that gets rolled out to America to start trying to figure out other alternative marketing things, right? You probably want to figure that out first so that everything's working together. And then even if you get a dip in Instagram leads, it's okay, right? I remember maybe 10 years ago or so, there were a whole bunch of businesses that went out of business when Facebook changed their algorithm to favor people over pages. They used to be favored the same. And then Facebook decided, nope, people want to see other people. So maybe 10% or something pages and the rest was all people. And there were whole businesses that went out of business because they relied so heavily on organic Facebook marketing. So we don't want to be those people, right? We want to first invest in what we own, which is our website, and in other things. So you want to make sure you have an evergreen marketing engine. We're going to talk about that. And in the third week, I mean, today is like kind of week 0. We're focusing on planning. Next week is week 1. The week after that, week 2, week 3, which will be our final week. We'll talk about how to get clients to go from interested to booked. Take clients from interested to booked. Basically, how to close the lead. Just because somebody inquires with you doesn't mean that they've decided to work with you, right? So, or that they will decide to work with you. So this is where you focus on getting people who are already interested to see that you're the perfect fit for them and to get them excited to pay you premium and follow your processes. We don't want people who are not following our processes because that is where a lot of overwhelm and stress comes from, right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on. For those of you guys who are on YouTube, this is where we bid you farewell. Thank you so much for listening, for joining. For those of you guys on Zoom, stand by while I disconnect. The link to join us on Zoom, to join the full Miniccelerator and all that good stuff is in it is in the it's in the link for those of you guys who are online, and we will go from there. Right, this is where still trying to understand Zoom and all its glory. Let me stop sharing.